Section 6.3 is more trigonometric equations that we're going to think. So the first question is cosine of 2x is 1 over 2, and we're going to solve for x, and we will find the exact solutions over the interval from 0 to 2 pi. So we have to make sure that this interval belongs to x values, and we have the cosine of 2x here. So if you think about who are the angles whose cosine value is equal to 1/2, I know that the first angle I have is cosine of 60, which is pi over 3. Cosine of pi over 3 is 1/2. And then when we look at another cosine is also positive in quadrant 4, which is cosine of 300. Cosine of 300 is 5 times 60, so it's 5 pi over 3 is also equal to 1/2. But again, this interval belongs to x. So for 2x, if we modify this interval that we have to think, 2x can be anywhere from 0 to 4 pi. So then I have to get two more angles. Cosine of, this is 60 degrees. When you finish your full rotation, 360 and add 60, which is 400. 400 is 7 times 60. 7 pi over 3 is going to have the same 1/2. And then 300, after one full rotation, 300 plus 360, which is 660. Cosine of, I believe that's 11 pi over 3 is going to also be equal to 1/2. So this means 2x can be set to pi over 3. So that makes our x value pi over 3 divided by 2, which is pi over 6. Or 2x can be set to 5 pi over 3. So that means x will be equal to 5 pi over 3 divided by 2, which means multiply by 1/2. That's 5 pi over 6. Now, we use these two values. Next, we're going to look at these two values. Let's just change color to understand that we're continuing. We can do this. And then 2x can be set to 7 pi over 3. So x will be equal to 7 pi over 3 divided by 2, which is 7 pi over 6. And 2x finally will be set to 11 pi over 3. And then if we divide it by 2, we will get 11 pi over 6. And there will be 4 solutions. This will be one solution, pi over 6. And then 5 pi over 6 will be the second solution. Third solution is 7 pi over 6. And 11 pi over 6 will be the fourth solution for number 1. So number 2 is the exact same question, but the value we have to focus is now root 3 over 2. Don't forget that cosine of 30 degrees, which is pi over 6, is equal to root 3 over 2. This will be your starting point, but we're going to repeat every step I did in number 1 to get the answer to number 2. You will also get 4 solutions. Now we will move to the sine of x is equal to negative 1/2. Again, the interval for x is 0 to 2 pi. That makes the interval for 2x to be 0 to 4 pi. And this is an open interval. So I'm going to think about all the angles whose sine value is equal to a negative 1/2 from 0 to 4 pi. Then I think sine is a negative in quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. And they have to refer to the 30 degree because sine of 30 is 1/2. So I know that sine of 210, which is 7 pi over 6, is equal to a negative 1/2. And sine of 330, and 330 will be expressed as 11 pi over 6, is equal to a negative 1/2. These are the only two angles with one rotation. When I go for another rotation, I know that sine of, so I'm going to find the coterminal angle with this. So I'm going to add 360 to this. Adding 360 is adding 2 pi. When you add 2 pi to this, you get sine of 19 pi over 6 is going to have the same sine value. Again, when I add 2 pi to this to get a coterminal angle, I'm going to get sine of 23 pi over 12 is going to have the same sine value, negative 1/2. What we have to do is, because sine of 2x is equal to this, if this was a 3x, I was going to set 3x to these angles. But this time, 2x will be set to this. So x will be equal to the half of this angle, which is 7 pi over 12. Now 2x will be set to this. So x will be this angle divided by 2, which is 19 pi over 12. 2x will be set to this. So x will be half of this angle, which is 11 pi over 12. 2x will be set to this. So this is actually, I made a mistake here. This is not 23 pi over 12 when I add it up. If you do the addition carefully, this needs to be 23 pi over 6. So when I divide it by 2, x will be 23 pi over 12. So when you multiply this angle by 2, it gives you this. So the sine of 23 pi over 6 becomes this. Number 4 is very similar, so I will let you explore it on your own. For number 5, this time cosine x is set to a -1. If you think when is the cosine value becomes a -1, cosine of 180, which is pi, is equal to a -1. And then cosine of 3 pi will be equal to a -1. So therefore, 2x will be set to a pi. That means x will be a half of that angle. And then 3 pi will be set to 2x. So x will be 3 pi over 2. And these are going to be the only two answers for number 5. Number 6 is very similar. And for number 7, this will be the last one we do together. Before we think about the angles we need to work with, we must isolate our trigonometric function. Since there's an extra 4 here, I will divide each side by 4. This allows me to get the sine of 2x to be equal to negative divided by positive is negative. And 2 and 4 will be simplified, and I will get √3 over 2. Again, this interval is for x. So if I rewrite the interval for 2x, all of these numbers will be multiplied by 2. So I'm going to think the 2x to be in 0 to 4 pi. So I am going to think about all the angles whose sine value is equal to a negative √3 over 2. This sine value originally belongs to 60 degrees, which is pi over 3 is our 60 degrees, but it's a negative value. Sine is negative in quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. Quadrant 3, 60 degree becomes, so 60, 1, 2, we need 240, and 240 is 4 times 60, so it's going to be 4 pi over 3. And then it will also have a negative sine value in quadrant 4, that's at 300 degrees, and 300 means 5 times 60, so 5 times pi over 3. So we will just set, okay, 2x can be 4 pi over 3. That makes our x value to be 4 pi over 3 divided by 2. And dividing by 2 means just multiply it by 1/2. So that's going to give me 2 pi over 3 because 4 and 2 can be simplified. Also, 2x will be set to 5 pi over 3. That means x will be equal to 5 pi over 3 divided by 2, which means multiply it by 1/2. So that gives me 5 pi over 6. These are the only two angles. We have to go full another rotation because 2x can be anything from 0 to 4 pi. And these two angles only go from 0 to 2 pi. We're going to add 2 pi to this. When you add 2 pi to this, that becomes 10 pi over 3. When I add 2 pi to this, that gives me 11 pi over 3. So the other two equations I need to set and solve is 2x's can be also set to 10 pi over 3. That makes my x to be 10 pi over 3 divided by 2, which means multiplied by 2, and then simplify these two numbers as 5 pi over 3. That's the third solution to our trigonometric equation in this problem. And 2x will be set to 11 pi over 3. That makes our x value to be 11 pi over 3 divided by 1/2, which gives me 11 pi over 6. And this is the fourth solution to this last question in the homework.